From the return of the very scary T-Rex to the iconic theme song, Jurassic World Dominion is peanut butter and jam-packed with Easter eggs and references and hidden details that really feed our hunger. Here is your mandatory spoiler warning, so go see the movie. I can't give everything away here, man. The release of the brand spankin' new Jurassic World Dominion marks the final entry in this fantastic series, which we first viewed in 1993. The sixth entry in the series, and also the last of the Jurassic World trilogy, sees the characters battling some wonderfully powerful creatures, and it even carries a lot of callbacks and references to the previous films. Some of them are acknowledgments to things that happened to Alan, Ellie, and the very handsome Ian Malcolm in the original park, to the presence of dinosaurs, like the Dilophosaurus, and the famous T-Rex. It's wild to see how these references can be right in your face, or rather subtle nods to elements found in the original, and longtime fans will no doubt be able to spot most of these. Without further ado, let me present these things to you. I'm Joey C. Let's go! Let's kick it off with one that really tickles me. Back in '93, when the original film took the world by storm, one of the most sinister subplots of the first movie was a devious quest, started by Lewis Dodgson.
More on him later.
And carried out by computer geek Dennis Nedry. My man was bribed to steal embryos from the lab and hide them inside custom-built Barbasol cans. Couldn't really use those when I was 15. He ultimately died in his pursuit, dropping the can into a pool of mud. But in Dominion, we come to find out that Dodgson found it. It's pretty wacky to see that he's had it sitting in his office, holding onto it like a trophy. It was one of the only possessions Lewis saved while fleeing from the research center. Come to think about it, how would he have obtained all the knowledge about the Dino Pals without it? We love a fashion statement, and a hat is definitely one. Bringing iconic characters back like Dr. Alan Gran after a 21-year vacation from the series can be tough. People age, things happen, you know how it is. There are so many questions about a story that we are dying to know. But diehard fans can appreciate one thing. He kept his old hat his entire time, man. In one particular scene with a group of vicious Dimetrodons, he protects the hat and it almost kills him. Gotta protect the fashion statement, baby. Listen, no Easter egg or reference is bigger than the original T-Rex, who is known as Rexy by the fanbase, and that's so cute. Ramsey revealed that Biosyn managed to capture her after 3 years, moving her to the island, which explains her appearance in the movie. How could you possibly capture her? That's like absolutely impossible. Although, there she is, so what can I say? In the original film, Sexy Rexy was involved in the final clash between the Dino Pals. This time around, she took on the Giganotosaurus? I can't believe I said that right. To save the heroes as she did decades prior. She survived, which is wonderful, and this time around, she even found a little T-Rex family of her own by the end of the movie, which is just so cute. One of the most iconic images of the film's franchise was the classic logo, which shows a T-Rex roaring on the inside of a circle, and that resonated with so many people because it represents where this massive story began in the original. And if you've gone to Universal Studios in Florida, I'm absolutely positive that you've seen this logo on t-shirts, cups, hoodies, lunch boxes, those little foam things, the list goes on and on. Anywho, back to the movie, the logo is reimagined multiple times throughout the film. At one point, you can even see a Dino Pal looking through a circle-shaped object, and it's just chef's kiss. Looking back now, Ian Malcolm had some pretty interesting ways to get rid of the large fellows over the years. During a scene in the first movie, Malcolm decides to use a flare found by Alan to lure away a T-Rex. As he sprints away from it, he launches it into the woods, and the trick doesn't work, and a lawyer gets eaten because of it. 29 years later, Malcolm has become a little bit more creative. In the new movie, the handsome man uses a stick and a burning locust to recreate the scene in a breathtaking escape plan that gives a wonderful nod to the past. If you missed this one, I don't know, man. If you're thinking to yourself, man, who could have missed this one? Listen, I'm just the presenter, man. Go easy on me. Social commentary on the dangers of greed is one of the big reasons the original Jurassic Park holds up today. Lewis Dodgson was one of those greedy boys, who was responsible for corrupting our geeky Dennis Nedry. Although a different actor played him in Dominion, the new movie referenced Dodgson's machinations by making him the primary antagonist. He was technically the main bad guy in the original since he made the entire conflict possible, which was a point that was brought forward in Dominion. Dodgson's attempts to exploit the genes of Maisie and Beta reconfirmed his bad guy-ness in the series. The rug that tied the room together, if you will. Speaking of our villain boy, Dodgson's Death is rather familiar. After using the late Dennis Nedry's embryo findings to build the company's secret research base, it turns out such spilled blood caused a chain reaction of rather dangerous moments that could threaten mankind. Nedry, of course, died at the hands of a seemingly cute and harmless dino pal. That same beast returns in Dominion, though this time it's not alone. As Dodgson tries to flee the base after the pudding hit the pan, if you will, a power outage leaves him abandoned in a tunnel system. His decision to get out of the pod quickly backfires as he suffers the same fate as the geeky man he bribed. He's then surrounded, blinded, and eventually kicked his terrible oxygen habit. One of the most well-known scenes from the original Jurassic Park is when Ellie removed her sunglasses when she was in shock at the sight of the big boys. It's really become a recognizable trait in the movies. And this was also shown in Dominion in her first scene. In Dominion, Ellie was shocked at the arrival of thousands of locusts and slowly removed her glasses, recreating the things she did in the first movie. Even her expression was pretty much the same, with Ellie showcasing shock at seeing something she has never expected. An obvious nod to the first movie. Alan's first scene in Jurassic Park takes place at an excavation site where John Hammond drops by unannounced. It seems he has a habit of getting unexpected visitors because the same thing happens to him in Dominion. This particular scene is a reference to Alan's original introduction, along with continuing a trend of him being seen at dig sites, since he was also present at one in Jurassic Park 3. You absolutely didn't miss this one. One of the ways Jurassic World has made the franchise better is by sticking code to elements that has made the series such a success. The theme song is a favorite among the fan base, and it makes its appearance when Alan is introduced. The theme song shows up numerous times throughout the movie, usually when Alan, Ellie, and Ian are on screen. The use of the track for the original characters alludes to their involvement in Jurassic Park to kickstart the series. The first dino dude Ellie interacts with in Jurassic Park was a Triceratops, where she finds an illness. Dominion didn't feature a sick dinosaur, but Ellie comes across the Triceratops upon her arrival at the research center. We love throwbacks, man. Alan accompanying Ellie, along with the presence of personnel with him, was also a nod to the scene in the original. It was a good way to reconfirm to viewers that Ellie was still the same as far as her core personality was concerned. Speaking of Ellie, she was easily the most brave character in the series, having ventured into the power room in the original movie when raptors were on the prowl. She rebooted the power system while she was guided on how to do so, which was also repeated in Jurassic World Dominion. This time around, Ellie had help with Claire joining her in their goal to turn the ADS back on so they could head over to the helicopter safely. John Hammond was on the mic in the original, and his role was filled in by Ian in this entry. Like the first time, Ellie was the one to reboot the system. Very brave, very cool. While a lot of the Easter eggs and references in Dominion are tie-ins to the first movie, Jurassic Park 3's theme returns, stealing from raptors. In JP3, Billy Brennan got his hands on some real-life raptor eggs. He snatched one in his bag, causing a film-long threat from a group of velociraptors. Eventually, he's forced to give it back, and luckily they aren't all killed. In Dominion, a youngling of blue is taken by a hunter, meaning the team of scientists has to not only rescue a cloned child, but also a dangerous dino dude. Earning the trust of the franchise's most dangerous species feels very much like the third movie, as does the celebratory release at the end. When the T-Rex showed up in Jurassic Park, Alan instructed Ian not to move, because its vision is based on movement, but go into conflict with it regardless. Later on, he tried the same thing with Lex and Tim, only for the dinosaur stampede to run their way. Dominion referenced this gag by having both Alan and Owen say the same thing to a group when the Giganotosaurus shows up. Much in the same way, the dinosaur turned out to be too scared to play heed to these words, and everyone ran off to save themselves. Let's hop into a more sexier entry. Ian's open shirt has become one of the most popular images from Jurassic Park, with that scene being highlighted in the film. While he didn't get to pose as he did in the first entry, Ian's shirt was open enough for Kayla to take notes and point it out. Ian ended up buttoning his shirt, which is a way to poke fun at the lack of reason for his shirt to be unbuttoned in the first place. But we're not complaining. Longtime Jurassic Park fans will have loved the reference since it's become one of the most well-known moments from the series. One of the most exciting things in the Dominion trailer was the presence of the Dilophosaurus, whose killing of Dennis Nedry is arguably the most famous of the series. Not only did the latest entry bring back the species of dino dudes like we discussed before, that was the homage to Nedry's death and doing a similar thing with Dodgson, but what we really dug in the movie was that the film brought back all the species from the original. Let's go through some. Dimetrodons, giant locusts, dreadnoughtus, pyroraptors, moros, and iguanodons. All of these can be found in the original and in the latest film. The list goes on and on. There's literally actually like 40 species on that list, and I can't even read half of them. I can't even read 35 of them, dude. One of the most iconic visuals in the original film was the fantastic visitor center, and it was intended to be the main hive of activities for guests visiting the park. You can also visit a real-life version at Universal in Orlando. What is super cool is that there is a blink and you'll miss it moment in the new movie of the Overgrown Visitor Center. It happens really quickly, so keep your eyes peeled. I didn't even notice it until the third time watching it. Did you? I need some validation here. This one's up for debate. At one point in the film, we could see an overgrown abandoned building that seems to be Lockwood Manor, which is the mansion that was owned by Sir Benjamin Lockwood. It is the former home to Sir Benji, as well as Maisie Lockwood, Eli, Mills, and Iris. It was a major setting featured in Fallen Kingdom. I love when things like this make it into future movies. It really drives the lore deeper. Remember back in the day when a movie came out and that was it? And now every single movie series has a massive amount of lore and history, and I think that's just the best part of cinema. Alrighty, let's get into the meat and potatoes of what this movie's all about. And very interesting, there are dinosaurs in the new movie. I'm just kidding. I'm just absolutely kidding. The real entry is that during the news feature, at some point in the film, there is a poll asking the audience what we should do with the dinosaurs. One of the answers being we should reopen Jurassic Park. Which, given how the first movie and all the other movies have gone down, that's probably not the best idea, and I want to know whoever voted for that. This one is a really cute small detail. At another point in the movie, Maisie looks through a photo album, which is the same album that belonged to Benjamin Lockwood in Fallen Kingdom, which now includes a photo of her mother, Charlotte Lockwood, standing in front of the iconic Jurassic Park sign when it first opened. Ian Malcolm has been very busy in the years since we've seen him. As he mentioned to Alan and Ellie, he now has 5 kids, compared to Jurassic Park when he only had 3. It seems like kind of a pointless detail, but it really fleshes out the history of the characters and the lore behind them. And that's what makes the world they're existing in more realistic. Minus the gigantic dinosaurs. The OG gang and the World crew both hide behind overturned vehicles, just like Alan and Lex did in the original movie. This could be a coincidence or an actual reference, although it wouldn't be uncommon for a gigantic dinosaur to flip over a vehicle. I lean towards it being a subtle nod to the trope in the first movie. This one is more of a continuity mistake rather than a things you missed, but I want to throw it in here anyways. We noticed that Ian's tattoo on his right forearm that he had in the first movie is not present in Jurassic World Dominion. After doing a little bit of deeper research on the wonderfully reliable Reddit, I've come to find out that the tattoo in the original is also missing in some scenes in the original too. There doesn't seem to be a pattern, but some scenes have it and some don't. It makes no damn sense. This one is kind of a given, but I'm throwing it in here anyways. The location titles featured in the movie are also the same ones from the original Jurassic Park trilogy. Isla Sorna is referenced several times, with the dinosaurs being confirmed to be taken to the Biosyn Valley. Just wanted to throw a nice easy one in there for you. My throat hurts from recording this entire script. Please forgive me. And finally, we all remember the final showdown from Jurassic Park. The dangerous raptors had nearly killed John Hammond's grandkids a number of times. They threatened to take out the entire team when the park's power went down. History repeats itself in the final chapter of the sequel trilogy, as the mighty Giganotosaurus meets its match in the nick of time. But just as the main characters are looking to get aboard to their helicopter ride out of there, the Giganotosaurus tried to attack them. But a deadly duo of both the T-Rex and a Therizinosaurus, that's a mouthful, sends the crowd home happy. A very familiar ending indeed. And there you have it. 25 things you may or may not have missed in Jurassic World Dominion. Universal's multi-billion-dollar franchise has finally closed its doors with its final chapter in the series. And the journey is finally over. What matters is how fun the ride was. We shall remember Jurassic Park fondly.